It looked like a dog, you know. They call it like the dog man or something. I mean, this thing was built. I mean, this thing was rugged. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to tangle with it, you know.
One night, I'm sitting there and I had a dead body in my bed.
Yes, that's when I started hearing the doors opening and closing and them walking through the house.
Giant ruby-looking thing appeared in front of me. Then one next to it. Then a third next to it. The third one opened up a porthole in my room.
In the second part of my interview with Matthew Orton from the Drunken Cryptids, he comes back for a one-on-one interview where he talks about the aha incident that happened in Fort Hood. And I'm not really sure what to make of it. There's a lot of different elements here that could be Sasquatch, it could be a whole litany of things, but it's a fascinating encounter, and I hope you enjoy it.
Assistant, my Android assistant that's under the desk right now, telling you that we are recording.
AI is real.
That's right.
John Connor's so disappointed.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, Matthew, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. The sun's finally shining. I'm out in the tavern right now. I haven't been able to be out in the tavern because the weather's been crappy down here in Arkansas, rainy and cold, and the sun is finally shining, and I'm back in my tavern.
There you go. So you've been in my live. And not everybody watches the live, and I still haven't edited your first interview all the way to have it as its individual episode. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about your show?
I can do that. I'm Matthew Orton. I'm the host of the Drunken Cryptids podcast. We do interview style podcasts where we like to know what we're doing right now. People's encounters, people's eyewitness accounts, what they've had, cryptid wise, paranormal wise. I cover everything across the board. So whether it involves fairies or wendigos or chupacabras or Bigfoot, which is my favorite of all, we dig into it. We go out on expeditions as well. I just went on 2 expeditions in 2024 at the end of the year. One was filmed for Search for Sasquatch, which will air in March, by the way. So my episode airs in March of 2025. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, so I drop an episode every Monday for sure, and Thursday if we can. And you find me on all our streaming platforms. Our website, obviously www.drunkencryptids.com. Our email is drunkencryptids@gmail.com. I'm on TikTok, all your social media platforms. I run the TikTok. Tommy, my producer, runs the Instagram and our X, which is weird saying that. Yeah, we're on X. So
yeah, I'm not on X. I never liked Twitter, so I got too much to say it in 146 characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, when we were kicking around the idea going on X, I told Tommy, I said, you run it. I have an account, but I said, you set one up for us. And he goes, all right. And we really don't get much on there right now, but, mainly YouTube, we're getting a lot on. TikTok, definitely. That's how you and I met, which is awesome. Of course, we met through our good friends of, Nevermore Hollows.
Oh, we got to mention Nevermore. I mean, that's a given on my show.
Yep. I am going to get you hooked up with a special guest, though, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I want to wait till we got recording to drop that bomb on you. So I'm going to have somebody big in the Bigfoot community. And if you know me already, you should probably know who I'm talking about. But I'm going to get them to come on your show and go over some theories, new research and stuff that we're doing.
Well, I appreciate that. Are they going to come in live, or are we going to do an interview like this?
Probably do an interview like this.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I get scheduled that for you.
I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
That's what we got to do. We got to network to learn, for one thing, because I'm very new at this.
Well, so the irony part is so how we got the Drunken Cryptids podcast set up during 2020. The C word. A lot of places were closed. I retired at that point in time. The military came out, retired me. So I took some time off work and enjoyed it. I had nothing to do, so I'd hang out at this little smoky dive bar, and we would sit in the corner. And I met some guys, and it started one night. We were drinking, and somebody brought up ghosts or something, and I was like, "Hey!" We got the conversation going. So every night we would sit there in this corner, little L-shaped corner of this bar, and visit and talk, and we would, share ideas and share stories. And the bartender, she goes, she goes, "Start a podcast." And I'm like, "What the hell is a podcast?" Because my idea of a podcast at that time was nobody listened to them. There was nothing to it. It was like, oh, okay, no one wants to hear me talk. No one wants to hear this. But it got planted. And last year, the incident we're going to talk about was driving me nuts. I mean, it happened in 2002. And it checked off all the boxes of everything cryptid. I mean, from Bigfoot to Skinwalker to fairies to everything. Checked all the boxes. So no idea what it was. And a buddy of mine recommended watch the show. So, I started listening to that. And there was a couple of accounts that were similar to mine. So I emailed Wes and I said, "Hey, I want to, talk to you about, my encounter." And he actually emailed me back. We talked on the phone a few times and kind of gave him the clip notes of the incident. And he goes, "Hey, come on the show." And so that kind of planted the bug for me. And I was like, all right. And another good buddy of mine had always wanted to do podcasting, not as a podcaster, but behind the scenes, produce and stuff. So he kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. And I was like, so about a little over a year ago, I went, okay, we'll do one, but we'll start it next year. Let's get through the holidays and we'll get it going. And he goes, all right. And I had looked into it and I learned that the first thing you want to do before you even do anything is get a name and make sure nobody else has the name. Make sure nobody else has it, because you don't want to be, recording and have, hey, we're searching for Sasquatch, and realize there's a TV show called Searching for Sasquatch. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, we're sitting around, and I like to play the bar trivia games. You go and, well, not just bar trivia, but, restaurants will have like trivia, random stuff. And I love trivia. And so we would go about every other week, sit down, play, me and some buddies of mine and my ex. And they ask you always what your team name is. And I said, Drunken Cryptids. And they go, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And I went, "That's the name of the podcast."
Yeah.
So,
and that's good. That's original. I mean, I can't think of anybody that has Drunken in their podcast name, but I'm probably wrong. Somebody's going to come in the comments and be like, "Oh, well, it's this one, and this one all say Drunken."
I think there's a couple of them out there that have drunk or drinking in them. But so the original idea was, sit around and drink and do all this. And I realized that the more you drink when you're trying to record and get somebody's encounter out there, it's okay to have a few. And somebody even goes, "So do y'all just get drunk?" And I was like going, "Well, there's a couple episodes you can actually hear we start slurring right there near the end." And my interview with Todd Neese, he actually came here to the tavern. We interviewed him. And it was about 4 hours total. So I had split it in half. So the second half, you could tell that me and him have been drinking. And what was fun about that, though, was the conversation flowed a lot easier. And it was more open and more honest than being guarded. And because I've learned too, though, and as you know this now, having, this recent encounter you had, that sometimes it does take a couple of adult beverages to maybe get you to relax a little bit, to, unwind. Like one of my favorite episodes, Wendy, before we started recording, she told me, she goes, "Hey, I've had 2 bottles of wine." And I went, oh, this ought to be good. And it was good. Wendy got really open. So
maybe I should start doing that before my lives.
Well, just don't have me on there after a Steeler game.
Well, yeah, we learned our lesson on that one.
Yeah, when it comes to me, I don't get shy about, the struggles I've been through, the internal battles I've had, throughout life and stuff. But because those are what made me who I am, and those have put me where I'm at today. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it hadn't been for going through some of those struggles. We won an award our first year podcast, and we won an award. It shocked me. I would never thought in the world that we would win an award, and we won, best documentary podcast in Arkansas. And it was mind blowing. To looking back to where I started at, to walking across that stage to receive that award, and it blew me away. It was overwhelming, in a lot of ways. As you know now, there's a lot of hard work that we do put into these shows. A lot of people don't know the hours that we do put in and the emotion that we put in. Eric from Uncomfortable, he put it best when he called us sin eaters, because that's what we're doing. We're listening to these people's accounts where you're taking it all in, and then we have to deprogram and we have to unwind, and the research and the back legwork of getting with somebody, trying to verify their encounter, trying to get them to talk and make sure that it's going to be, and I can tell everybody, like, I'll put you on the show as long as it's not going to be, we're not like harming animals and stuff, like, kids and everything like that. But, and then again, like, you'll learn too. I've had numerous people get right to the point of the time set, just talked to them 10 minutes ago, they're good to go, never hear from them. They get scared.
Right. That especially happens on my show. Like, I'll have somebody in the comments be like, "Oh man, I've had this encounter. Oh, here, let me put you in the box." I chickened out.
Yep. Yeah. So like my last episode, and I believe you're helping out with it. The guy that we interviewed, Jared, he went through some really dark encounters in Schweinfurt, Germany, in his barracks room. And a lot of veterans will be like, yeah, my room was kind of haunted, or yeah, it's a lot of energy put into this place. We caught a couple EVPs, ironic enough, during the episode. So I'll just warn you now, when you start doing this, you're gonna, it's a lingering thing. So I always, before record, I always try and do a quick little prayer. And then when I'm done recording, I'll do another prayer to make sure that everything's, nothing's coming through on my end, and nothing's going to, possess my house or anything. And I don't know. I'm paranoid about that. Even when I go on a paranormal hunt, I do the same thing. So when we get done, before we leave the site, if there's nothing there that we encountered, I'll still say, if you're here, you stay here. You're not coming home with me.
Yeah. So I think that kind of leads us to, you mentioned it. It was lingering in your mind, your aha story.
The aha story. Yep. This is, so yeah, Jacob, if he was here, he would tell you, he goes, he loves aha story. And I kind of don't, mainly because of what I went through. When you retell it, you do go back there. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. I was stationed, I started 11 years, a little background. I started 11 years in the military. Before I got hurt, got full honored out, medical out, 100% disabled. So it took me a long time to get to that level, but I did, and I'm pretty proud of it. I'm saying a lot. So, wow, I'm used to doing the interview.
It's different being on the other side of the microphone.
It is. Well, so 2002, I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. I was assigned to a mechanized infantry unit. I was a sergeant at the time, and the unit had to perform a quick gunnery. So real quick on that one, for the mech, the armor guys and the people listening is that you have to be table 8 qualified. You have different tables, qualification that you have to do as a unit to be combat ready. Okay, so you're not effectively combat ready unless you go through the unit has to go through these process steps to be combat ready. So with new people coming in and old people going out and crews swapping out, there's new crews. So the unit put together a quick little hasty gunnery for the Bradleys, so they could all be table like certified for combat. And again, this is 2002. Nothing had been declared yet, but we kind of saw the writing on the wall. We're not stupid. We thought of one location, ended up being another place that we ended up going. But so the unit puts together this, qualification gunnery. And I guess the site wasn't big enough to store the ammunition on site, so they had to pick a different spot for it. And AHA stands for Ammunition Holding Area, AHA, AHA. So, the military is famous for abbreviating everything. So it's 24 hours on and 24 hours off. And then you do your regular duties, and then you would go back. It was a rotation. It was me and 2 other NCOs. So you have to have an NCO in charge. You have to have a couple of guards, and you're just guarding this little spot of ammunition. That was it. So my first rotation out there, I get there, and I'm expecting, because of where the location was at, was nowhere we'd been at before. It was North Fort Hood. We never really used the rangers out there. We always used rangers elsewhere. And I actually had to get grid coordinates and drive my truck out to the spot. We could take our POVs, to get to the site. We wouldn't have to do a Humvee or anything. So, but I got to the spot. There was ammunition was set up, a little squared off area. They had a little camo net put up. It's August. It's hot. And I expected a radio, a weapon. You have to sign for all the stuff. When I get there, none of it. I had no weapon, no radio, nothing at all. And the first hitch out there, not a problem at all. It was boring. It was boring guard duty. You just sit there for 24 hours and make sure nothing happens. You sleep. You rotate. Yeah, boring. So the second rotation, my second round coming in, I got there and I relieved Sergeant M. I'm not going to use anybody's names. When I got there that morning, though, he looked exhausted. He had bags under his eyes, like he hadn't slept all night long. His guards looked, rough. I even told him, too. I was like, man, did y'all not sleep? What's up? And he goes, no, we had coyotes coming in all night long. And I went, oh, okay. And if you've been in the military, the coyotes know where the soldiers are at. There's food. We leave MREs behind and crap behind. We're not the cleanest military in the world. So it's a free meal.
In some places, we leave our entire,
everything behind.
Everything. We leave all of our equipment, everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's billions of dollars of equipment. Yeah, it happens. It all depends upon who's in charge.
Right. We're not going to go there. I just had to put that in.
No. Oh, I know. No. Yeah, that's another show. So, but Manning, so Sergeant M told me that the guys were coming in and they slept in the bed of his truck all night long. And I was like, all right, well, okay, whatever. And I had the 2 kids that came out there with me. I'm going to call them Daniel Boone and David Crockett, and you'll hear about that the reason why in a minute. So they come in, they're there, and they hear this, and they were from another platoon. So I'd never worked with these kids before. They never worked with me. And I was just like, all right, I got, Crockett and Boone out here with me, but we'll see. Got everything set up under the camo net, make sure all the ammunition was still good to go, signed for the ammo. That was all I signed for. And they took off. So the most dangerous people on the planet are bored infantry soldiers. They really, really are. They are. I was one, so I know. And these kids are creative, and they're talking, and we're kind of wandering around, just kind of staring off. And the setup was kind of neat. We had, you drive down. We were about 400 meters away from the hardball paved road, the main road that everybody would drive up and down on. We were about 400. We were 400 meters to the west of that, going down a tank trail road. To the left was really thick woods. To the right was kind of open, but like a field. And then there was thick woods past that. And it was probably a good about 50 to 70 meters of wide open space before you hit the woods. And then where the ammunition was at. So, and right there, the woods on our side of the dirt road, they had cleared the trees out in a lane to put telephone poles up. They never did. So you don't talk about you're on the woods, you see the the lane. A lot of hunters use that because they can spot the deer crossing. They get an idea how they're going to be moving. So we had this lane. It was off to where we're the camel net we were under was off to probably about a 1 o'clock position. You could move over and see straight down it right there past the ammo. Further down where we're at, still open, and then it got a little bit wooded. But right there was just this completely open area for about 70 meters radius. So it's a pretty big open spot. And then the camel net was there. We had like a little dirt berm that kind of went up to about 4.5 feet, maybe 5 feet at the peak. Sorry if you heard that. That was a woodpecker. So, but we
No, I didn't hear anything.
okay, this woodpecker just went off over here. But so the dirt berm ran parallel to the tank trail on our side, and there was a thicket, really good Texas thicket, right beside the camel net. So, it was about mid-morning, and I was bored of MREs already. Didn't want to eat any more MREs, and it was payday. I remember that, and so I was like, man, I can't leave the site, but one of y'all can. Take one of y'all's vehicles, go back down the main post, go to Burger King, grab a couple of Whoppers. If y'all don't mind, I'll pay for it. Y'all come back. And
So
like,
you,
all
had,
right, so
you had a gopher.
Yeah. So one of the kids volunteered. I can't remember which one it was. You volunteered. I gave him $20 and said, here, go get Whoppers. Well, about an hour later, the kid comes back with $20 worth of Whoppers. Now, in 02, that's a lot of Whoppers.
Yeah, like now it's like one, but back
Exactly.
then, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're feeding an entire family and a half on that.
Exactly. So I was like, there was some, language used, and I kind of cursed him out a little bit, and he goes, I'm sorry, Soren. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. So we eat. We got a bunch of leftover Whoppers and such, and they're just sitting there, and the kids decide they're going to get creative. They want to build traps. Told you, infantrymen are the most dangerous people bored. They're going to get creative. So Daniel Boone and David Crockett decided they're going to build some traps, try and trap some of these coyotes that Sergeant Amma talked about the night before. And hey, Soren, can we use some of the Whoppers? Can we do this? And I know that they probably have about a 20% chance of success of trapping a coyote out here in the middle of nowhere. And I went, yeah, y'all do your thing. Just stay out of my hair. So they do. They're out there. They go past the ammunition area, where we're holding the ammo at, and they're out there, goofing off, building these traps and making everything, right. And I'm like, all right, cool. It's August, like I said, at Fort Hood, so it's hot. Yeah, I got a pogie bait, we call pogie bait like snacks. So I got my Pringles, I got some Powerade for my water, and stuff like that. Just snack around. You don't take chocolate out there because it'll melt. But yep. So everything's set up, and they come back, and everything's fine until night hits. So the sun goes down. Let's say pretty late night. It is August. So I can't give exact time, but it's going to be after 9 p.m. because of it was dark. And I've got my little flashlight out, and I've got my little glow stick chem light with me, and I'm reading my Dean Koontz novel, and I'm in my little happy place, just chilling out. When one of them goes, "Did you hear that?" And that got my attention, and I paused the book, and I kind of waited for a minute. The other guy goes, "Yeah," and I went, "Heard what?" And they said, "Well, sir, it sounded like somebody took a half canteen and dropped it. A filled canteen and dropped it on the ground. And it makes a distinct thunk, and it's a sound, for years I spent in the military. It's a really unique thunk. It's a thunk sound, but it's, unique. So I'm listening for a moment, and we hear a car go down the hardball about 400 meters away, and it sounded like it hit something, and it echoed back to the woods around us. And I went, "That's what y'all heard." And they were like, "No, Sarp, that's not what we heard." I said, "No, that's what you heard." They argued with me for a few minutes about it, and they quit. And we got quiet. We were listening, and then heard the Humvee coming down the road from the range, and they pulled up to the ammunition, and they were swapping out the expelled brass and links from the coax and 25 millimeter, and putting it into the ammunition area and pulling out new ammo to take it back to the range so they could keep firing. So, which we were so far away from the range, we couldn't even hear them firing. That's how far away we were. So, I mean, the site location made no sense. No, there's zero. This whole event and the location of everything doesn't make sense. And I used to crack jokes that that unit was what I would consider like the National Lampoons of the Army. You know, there's going to be a unit that was a National Lampoon version of it. So, but when the Humvee pulled up, you know, I set my book down, had my can of Pringles right there where I was snacking on them at, put my chem light right there, which was a green glow stick, and walked over to the Humvee, you know, to see who it was, to visit with them. And my guys are helping unload the ammo, and I got the clipboard there, and they tell me a box of this, and I'm checking it off on, you know, while I'm talking to the driver. And I look over, just having a glance over at the camo net, and my glow stick was missing. And I was like, okay, well, maybe one of the guys grabbed it to use it to see serial numbers or something on the boxes. So I'm visiting with the driver. I knew the driver. You know, we're kind of just, you know, going back and forth. And one of the guys comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Sergeant, do you have the chem light? Can I borrow it for a minute?" And I said, "No, I thought y'all had it." And he goes, "No, we don't have it." So I rolled my eyes, I looked at the driver, and I said, "Hey, you got a chem light?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, here you go. Hand me a whole box of, you know, chem lights." I was like, "Sweet." You know, because this was like gold. You know, a box of chem lights was like gold back in the day. So get the chem lights. We're counting everything off. And the guys are like, "All right, cool." And the Humvee drives off. And we go back, and I'm, you know, looking around for the chem light. And just nowhere. I asked the guys again if they took it. They said no. I'm checking their pockets because you can see it glow through their, you know, the pockets. It's that dark out there. No moon was up. It was just star. We had no other illume other than starlight. So the chem light would glow through their pockets if they actually had it. And so I'm kind of in the back of my head, I'm kind of looking up, you know, in the woods and outside, looking around, going, expecting to see my chem light like bobbing through the woods, like some coyotes got it or something. And I'm like, all right. So I go back to sitting there, and I realize that now let me back up. Let me back it up just a little bit there. Yeah, before the Humvee got there, after the thunk sound they heard, I realized that the crickets to my left, which is the west, further away from the hardball, there was no crickets, there was no insects, there's nothing going off. And you could hear it to the right, but you couldn't hear it to my left. And then it flip-flopped. It went from, you know, sound would go up on the left and sound would go down on the right. And then we just kind of
something's moving.
Something's moving around out there, you know, where we can't see. And I thought that was kind of odd. And that's when the Humvee showed up and the chem light disappeared. So now we go back, and there's a woodpecker again. We go back to the camo net, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm about to grab my book again, and I realized that everything is quiet. And I was like, well, the Humvee just left. We just made a whole bunch of noise. So I give it about 10 minutes. And within about 10 minutes, the sound came up to the right. Nothing to the left. And that's when, I can't remember, it was one of the kids caught it as well at this point in time. And he would say, "Hey, Sergeant." And I go, "What's up?" And he goes, "I don't hear." I said, I know. I'm listening." And he goes, "Okay." And they were getting a little spooked at this point in time. And I don't know why. The funny part is I can't remember why they were getting spooked. I wasn't spooked in any way, shape, or form, but they were. So to make them feel better at this point in time, the sound had come back. I decided I was going to go and mark the pickets on, because the ammunition was surrounded by concertina wire. I was going to go mark the pickets with the chem lights that we had. We had a whole box of them, so I might as well use them. And my justification was for, you know, in case they come back at night, the Humvee comes back, somebody shows up, you know, the area is marked off, they're going to see it, you know, kind of, you know, trying to justify it, you know, tactically, if that makes sense. So we get to the first picket, and the guys are with me, and I got my little flashlight, my little pen light out. And I get there and I crack it and I shake it and I mark the picket and we walk down along the wire. I get the second one, stop, crack, shake it, mark it. As I step around the corner to go to the third one, all this happens simultaneously. I turn the corner, I hear the thunk coming from the west, and it was that canteen sound. It was a distinct thunk. I stepped into a cold spot at the same time, and it was so cold I saw my breath in the light of the flashlight. So I step into this, and the guys are right behind me. I'm trying to get back into the cold spot as I'm looking, as my head looking to where the sound came from, looking, and they're like, "Did you hear it?" I'm like, "I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it." But that cold spot was just that quick. So there's the thunk sound. Now I hear it, and I'm like, "All right." So I quickly mark the rest of it, and we go back over to the camo net. So we get to the camo net, stand there. We don't sit down or anything. We stand there for a minute, and I realize now that everything around us is quiet. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing in the woods behind me. There's nothing in front. There's nothing left. Nothing. It's completely quiet. And I was like, all right, there's something here. There is literally something here. So I moved this away from the camo net, and that thicket I told you about that was run parallel to the camo netting, and moved this to that area. So I had the thicket. Let's see here, probably, I don't know, maybe 3-4 feet to my right there. So a little, I could maneuver. The ammunition was a good, probably about 10-15 meters to my left. And I was facing to the east, where the hardball was at. And I had Boone and Crockett behind me, and they were facing in opposite directions. So we had a little 360 perimeter put in place. And I, try to whisper to them that we're going to do this because if somebody's out here, they're going to zone in on the camo net and the ammunition, not the thicket. So I pulled us out of that. So as we're there,
a quick question.
Yeah.
So you felt like at that point that there was something stalking you or someone stalking you at that point?
Someone. Yeah. In my mindset, there was some. So one, Fort Hood's really big, is one of the world's largest military installations. Lots of units are out there. We never used North Fort Hood for training. My unit never did. So I didn't know if there was another unit out there training. And either A, they were going to mess with us, B, thinking we were the Op 4, or that, there was the Op 4 thinking it was the Blue 4. Op 4 is the opposing force. So when you train up against each other. So you have an Op 4, which is called opposing force, and then Blue Force, which is, the good guys, if you want to call it that way. So in my mind, there's somebody out there messing with us. Right. At this point in time, there's somebody's out there. There's another unit has to be out there. So that was, I'm lodged. I mean, not one time am I thinking cryptid or paranormal. Nothing at all has even entered my mind. So we get into 360. I'm facing east. Daniel Boone and Crockett on my shoulders facing opposite directions. And something starts walking towards me. Yeah, two-legged, step, 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 step. And I mean, it's a deliberate walk, and I'm like, all right, yeah, it's somebody, there's something, yeah, someone's here. Like I said, it was dark. I had the tree line that made a good backdrop, shadow wise. So I'm squatting lower and lower and lower, and I'm trying to get low to the ground to angle up so I could see the silhouette of them against the trees. So I'm trying to put the trees out of the picture so I can see them, if that makes sense. The kid behind me, Boone or Crockett, started saying, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And I popped them with my elbow to shut him up. Because, I mean, he's hearing this thing walking up. I got my little flashlight out, and I'm waiting for him to come, the thing to be able to get close enough. And it got about 4 feet in front of me. Couldn't see it. And I turned the light on. And it should have been right there. And it wasn't. Instead, something in the thicket to my immediate right moves. So this all happened simultaneously. Turn the flashlight on. There's nothing in front of me. I'm fully expecting to see somebody camouflage. BDUs. Right there. Nobody's there. Something jumps and moves into the thicket right beside me. So I whip the light over this way. Can't see through the thicket because, flashlights, thicket's only going to go so far. So I jump up. I sprint along the thicket and I go up to the top of the berm to chase down whoever it is. And as soon as I get on top of the berm, this rock goes flying overhead, and it's not a little rock. It's a big rock. It flies overhead. It lands behind me, and it makes the sink, a big rock. When it hits the ground, it makes that sound, that thud. So I spin around, and at the base of the berm was one. I'll just go with Daniel Boone. Boone was at the base of the berm, and I raced down there, and I grabbed him, and I pulled him up by his BDU top face to face. And as I'm yelling at him, I realize that he's crying. The kid's literally, he's crying. And I was explicit telling him if this was him and his buddy and they were effing with me, that I was going to effing leave their bodies buried out here. And I was going to, I'm in Sergeant Orton mode. And I'm yelling at this kid and realizing that he's actually crying. Behind me in the thick woods, it was parallel to the tank trail. This log crumbles, just makes that, you step on a log, a rotted out log and it crumbles. Yeah. Not snap, not a crack, a crumble. And I let him go. And I bounced over the berm and I ran into the woods. And I got about maybe 10 meters into the woods, 10, 15 meters maybe into the woods. And yeah, it was dark. It was absolutely dark.
When you say dark, do you mean like the feeling or just lack of light?
Yeah. Yes. Both. It was, I stopped dead in my tracks. My little flashlight wasn't doing anything in there. And it was quiet. And it didn't feel right. It was, that was probably the most scared right there the whole night of me in those woods. And I remember standing there, can't hear anything. Don't hear the guy, the soldiers, nothing. And I remember feeling I needed to get out. I needed to get out. I needed to get out. And I slowly started to try and backtrack, and I kept looking over and make sure I wasn't going to trip over a log or something on my way out. And I remember I got out and I stood there on the tank trail facing the woods with my light, still kind of standing there holding my flashlight, looking at the woods, and I felt defeated, beat. Just, it's kind of hard to put into words what I felt standing there other than defeated. If you've ever absolutely in your life been so overwhelmed with everything happening to you at the world and feels like all your emotions and everything just come crashing down at once, that's what it felt like at that moment. And I was like, okay. And I turned my head to the right and I looked and I saw my truck. And I walked down to my truck and I was like, oh, I've got you guys now. And I started my truck up. I turned my headlights on. When I turned the headlights on, it lit the whole area up. Turned the brights on, lit everything up. And my thought was, I've got you now. I've got you now. I've got you now. And then the military train kicked in. Noise and light discipline. Can't be doing this. Can't be doing that. Got to turn it off. Got to do this. Everybody and their grandma was going to see your white lights now, out there. And I was like, crap. So I turned my truck off. I turned the headlights off. And, 2001, this movie had come out that everybody was crazy about. And, called Fast and Furious. And they had all their cars decorated with neons and everything. And so everybody went on this really cool neon craze. I did the same thing. So I had neons on my truck. And, we couldn't really have them on. It's all illegal, but you could, switch it. So I had the windshield watch jets, the squirt out of the hood. You remember those? So I had neon ones. They would light up blue. And I had to switch on my, the cab of my truck. And so I was like, all right. So I put the switch, turned the neons on, and I put off a little soft blue glow. And I went, all right, got this. Walk over to the camo net. Daniel Boone and David Crockett are pretty much hugging each other at this point in time, and they're both visibly upset. And I lit a cigarette, and I was about to say something to him. I turned my head back over to my truck. The driver neon winked, like something walked in front of it. Dropped my cigarette, and again, in a matter of seconds, I'm at the front of my truck. Nothing's running down the tank trail either direction. Nothing ran into the woods. Nothing was under the vehicles. I looked. Nothing. And that same feeling of defeat came over me. And I remember I just reached into the cab of my truck and turned the neons off and walked over back to Daniel Boone, David Crockett, grabbed my cigarette that I dropped, picked it up, and I sat down outside the camo net, and they sat with me at that point, and we just kind of sat together for the rest of the night, listening to the sound of, the lack thereof, crickets, the bugs just moving around us. They just all night long until about 03:30, when the moon came up. The moon finally broke up over the eastern horizon, and it lit everything up. It wasn't a full moon. I remember that, but it was about a half moon. But being out there, you know how it is, when it's completely dark and that moon comes up, even a half moon, it lit the whole area up. And that's when everything went normal.
Wow.
So, I got home that morning after guard. My ex-wife, when I walked in the door, looked at me and asked if I was okay. I had bags under my eyes. I looked, and her, as she described it, was shell-shocked. Wasn't normal, wasn't right. And that evening, I was linking up with a buddy of mine and his wife. We were gonna go over. He was gonna grill out. We're gonna have some beers and hang out. Then I got there, and Sam was like, he's like, dude, you all right? And then Mike's like, oh, no, yeah, some weird shit happened to him last night on guard. And Sam was Hispanic. Sam was a good guy. But he goes, oh, you want to talk about it? And I was like, you're not going to believe me, brother. And he goes, oh, no. So we sat outside. And I just told him the same story I just told you. And he goes, what do you want to do? I said, to be honest with you, I want to get back in my truck. I want to drive back up to that damn spot. And I want to make sure that those guys are okay. And he goes, let's do it. I'm like, all right. So, to Ranger NCOs, we jump in the cab of my truck, we take off, we go up there. And I pulled down the tank trail, get to the spot, and the guys were there. And, the guy that relieved me goes, what the hell are you doing here? So, oh, man, I dropped my pocket knife last night out here somewhere. It's my grandpa's. I want to make sure I find it. You know what I mean? Trying to come up with any excuse other than I'm scared to death, and I think that y'all are getting stalked. And I asked him, everything okay? And he goes, yeah. And the whole entire time we were there for about 15, 20 minutes. It felt absolutely normal. Like nothing from the night before. Nothing. It felt normal. It was gone. So, yeah. And after that, got back, a couple days later, back in the unit. I got with Sergeant M, the guy that I relieved, who was tired. And I said, hey, let me talk to you for a minute. He goes, hey, what's up? And I said, hey, that night on guard duty, you said you had coyotes messing with you. And he goes, yes, coyotes. I said, are you sure you had coyotes? He goes, yeah. I got one more thing to bring up to you in a second. And I was like, okay. But he would stick to the coyote story. So remember that more. So remember I told you Daniel Boone and David Crockett put out traps with the whoppers. Yeah. So
yeah, I had that written down.
Okay, so let me back that up. So that morning when the sun came up, sun comes up, everything's happy, it's warm, you're rationalizing everything. And I remember I said, you know what? Coyotes. Yeah, coyotes are going to throw a big rock. Coyotes are going to break this. Coyotes are going to do that. But my mind in the morning is coyotes. Go check your traps. I tell you right now, them whoppers are gone. That's what it was. And the guy's like going, oh, good, good. Yeah, coyotes. So they go running out there. And I'm not going to lie, I pat myself on the back. I'm a smart guy. I got this thing figured out. And they're jumping up and down. They're yelling my name. And I'm like, yep, I'm about to be proven right. The whopper was untouched. The next whopper was untouched. The next whopper was untouched. Every whopper they put out there was untouched.
And then if it had been a coyote,
they would have been gone.
I mean, as soon as you turn your back, they're sneaking in and stealing that stuff. So
yep, and they already know that we're there. If they were there the night before with Sergeant M.
Right. So I know the answer to this because I wouldn't do it, but you probably didn't report this to anybody.
No, we don't. We don't report it.
Right.
We don't. We don't. I mean, like Daniel Boone, David Crockett, they weren't in my platoon. And they tracked me down about a week later. And they wanted to talk about it. And I was like, all right. And I said, hey, we were looking on the map where we were at, and, probably about, 2,000 meters away is an archaeological site on the map. And I went, okay, like, well, maybe it has to do. So no. It's where, a firm believer in everything. But even I feel bad. I told him, don't worry about it. That's not what it was. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
So how far away was the AHA from like the main base?
No, it's probably good. 20 miles, if that. 10 miles.
So you're basic. I mean, you're out there by yourselves. I mean, there's nobody around.
No, so the only thing that could have happened, we were outside. This is after 01. We locked down Fort Hood after 01, after 9/11. So gates to go through. But this was past the gate. So you actually had to have, an ID and identification to get on to your main post. You could be a civilian and drive up and down out there if you wanted to, because it was an open post before that. And trying to close down Fort Hood, I'm sure for the military was a logistical nightmare. I'm glad I wasn't in charge of that. But, my mind was the Texas militia. We always had threats of Texas militia. I know that for the millennial, New Year's, 99 to 2000, Texas militia, we had the big computer scare, everything was going to crash, this was going to happen, don't run your computer, this is going to be bad. Texas militia was threatening Fort Hood, so they put armed, me being one of them. So I spent New Year's Eve for the millennium on guard duty, locked and loaded, protecting, ironic enough, Fort Hood's ammunition area, which had a telephone and building and ammunition and weapons. So we were all, me and my guards were all locked and loaded. And we had the MPs there. We had fireworks going off at one point when people were celebrating. MP showed up because somebody called in fireworks. So we had, it was a crazy night. Nothing weird, but just, military crazy. But out there, that one site, you're supposed to have a radio to be able to contact somebody when you're on any kind of guard duty. Cell phones were expensive at the time. You had to pay for it by the minute. It was, and if you could call like at midnight, then you would get like half off, or you remember, it was stupid. So, nowadays, like I got phone, we're good, but no, we didn't, we had nothing.
Yeah. I mentioned the whole calling after 9 PM to somebody younger at work, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Yeah.
It's a whole new, it was a totally different time frame. But
so,
like I said, go ahead.
So when the whole canteen sound, and you said that a vehicle went by and it hit something, did it make that exact same sound, or did you just justify that in your mind?
So I didn't hear the first sound. They were describing the canteen sound to me. So when the car drove down and hit something, the echo came back, That's what I was justifying it as. Because in my mind, you know, there's, yeah, I was logical all the way up till I got into the woods. And when I got in the woods, you know, my spidey senses were screaming at me. Everything was screaming at me. I wanted to leave. I mean, it was, you know, I was just fine. You know, I could go home. No one's going to know. You know, I come back out here at 5 a.m. I'm good to go, you know, and, you know, but, you know, the discipline part of me, you know, for the military was like, no, there's some, you know, my general orders. I will guard everything in the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. That's your first general order, and they beat that into your head all the way through basic. You know, so if if you know, my job right now is to guard this coffee cup, this damn thing is going with me everywhere until I'm properly relieved of somebody to guard it. You know,
Right.
and you know, it's speed into you, speed into you, speed into you. So it was, you know, the discipline kicked in, and I stayed, and it was, yeah. I mean, we're going 22 years, almost 20. It'll be 23 in August. Years since this happened, and you know, trying to rationalize and justify everything. And I remember I was watching. It was in the it was about 2009, I think. I was watching a show. Like, you know, one of the Bigfoot shows on TV or something like that. And they were talking about these rocks being thrown at them, you know. And I remember I was laying in bed watching, and I sat straight up and I went, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, because I was always into Bigfoot, but I wasn't like researching everything all the time and digging into it like I am now. So when I heard these reports started coming in, you know, about people having rocks thrown at them, and then one person goes, "It was a big rock," and I was going, "Whoa, whoa, no, there's no way Bigfoot was out there. There's no way that was Bigfoot, because he couldn't be where everything was happening at once. You know what I mean?" So I was like, "Okay, that couldn't be it." But okay, so Bigfoot throws rocks, you know, and then you know, skinwalker stuff, and you know, and I have a hard, you know, one of the cryptids you know, there's a couple of cryptids I have a hard time buying into, but I was like, no, I can't be that. No, I can't be that. No, I can't be that. And I don't know what the hell it was. I don't know. Never saw it, but I heard it. I mean, you heard it. It was walking. It walked up on me. I mean, it
Right.
literally walked up on. I mean, I should have seen it. I should have seen shadow, anything.
So that leads me into another question I had. You said when you turned on your light, you was expecting to see whatever it was right in front of you, but
Right.
something moved off to your right or left. I forget what you
My
said.
immediate right.
So when the thing moved to your right, did it sound big or did it sound like a squirrel? Small.
Small. It was small.
Okay.
So, because the light clicking on should not have freaked any. I mean, it almost reminded me like a rabbit would bolt. You know, rabbits bolt out real quick,
Right.
and that's what it did. I mean, it bolted. I mean, it shook the whole thicket, and it wasn't quiet about whatever it was doing, but it was all simultaneous. The light coming on, nothing there. Something bolts. That's why I always use a reference of bolting, because it bolted through that thicket. And that's when I
Right.
jumped up to run around, because I was going to catch whatever it was. And that's when the rock got thrown. It came in overhead. And I'm thinking, for some reason, of this thing flying overhead, that the guys behind me are the ones that are, you know, dropping rocks. So,
Right.
yeah,
And that
it
wouldn't
wasn't.
have been, you know, I'm sure people are going to be saying, you know, well, that was probably a coyote coming in. But coyotes, they're afraid of people. You know,
Not really.
they're going to, but I mean, they're not going to come up and lick your hand.
So,
You know,
true story. Funny story for you about coyotes. The National Training Center, Fort Irwin, California. We were probably about 50 meters away from these guys sleeping in their sleeping bags. And this coyote came up where these kids were at in their sleeping bags and grabbed their boot, one of their boots, and took off running with it.
really, he was wearing the boot.
No, he has boots. He was in his bag. He has boots outside. You know, because you always shake your boots out in the desert. And so I grabbed one of his boots and took off running with it. And we were, laughing. This poor kid had one boot. We had to get his duffel bag so he could get another boot because this damn coyote took off with his boot.
So was
They will
anybody
come in.
awake? I mean, you guys saw this happen? Like you saw the coyote come in, or
Yeah, I physically, me and a couple other guys, we watched. That was on my squad. We watched this coyote come in because there was another squad. Right, two squads we were working together, and so we were set for one observation point, and they're set somewhere else. And it was early morning. We had enough light. We watched this damn coyote coming in because someone goes, "Hey, Sergeant, there's a coyote." I was like, "Oh, cool, coyote!" You know, you get excited. And as I go, hey, he's going to, you know what I mean? He slunk right on in, grabbed that boot, slunked right back out again.
wow, the coyotes that you've encountered must be way different than the one I must have, like, emotionally or socially awkward coyotes in this area, because if anytime I see them, as soon as you start approaching, they're gone.
It's because y'all shoot them. When we're out there training, we don't shoot them. We're not allowed to shoot the wildlife. We're not allowed to do this. We carry blanks with us when we got training. So yeah, they are pre-programmed and raised in those military bases to where there's people. All right, yeah, it's people, but there's food, and they're not going to hurt us.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point. We are Midwest, and we like to take out anything that we don't like.
I had a soldier from Ohio when I say something, Korea, Prickett. Instead of I don't have anything paranormal, Prickett had the craziest stories about his small town there in Ohio. And hey, it's warmed up enough. There's a lizard on the house. Awesome. But I love the tavern. But Prickett would be like, oh, yeah, we kill everything. That's why there's nothing in Ohio, so we kill it all. And I was like, all right, buddy.
Well, Ohio is a weird place, dude. I grew up in Ohio, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Ohio.
Oh, I know. The more research I've done into it, Ohio is now like one of the big X's on that I want to go to. So, and I've got Justin and Jay from Cryptids of Corn. I'll actually be at the Bigfoot Jamboree #2 this October. I'll be a guest speaker for them,
and I will be there as well.
Sweet. See, we're going to meet up anyways.
Yeah, that's where I met Alan and Chris was at that conference.
Yeah, they were so excited. Yeah, they got back from that conference. They were so excited. Alan got a hold of me real quick and he goes, "Dude, I met this cool guy, John. Oh my gosh, he does his show on TikTok. You got to meet him." I'm like, "All right, okay." He was super excited to meet you.
Well, it's the mullet, people can't resist the mullet.
Speaking of mullets, I finally hit 350 today.
You got your 350? Was it?
Yeah, but we passed the timeline.
Oh yeah, but you made a new timeline or a new goal.
500 by the 15th.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
And so the mold man, it's worth it.
All right. Well, we'll keep pushing it because I
got to push it
for you.
Yeah, I've got to put. I know I need to push it some more. I've got so many events coming up for the show. The 14th of January, I'm doing a meet and greet at this place called the Censored Monkey here. Good group of people. Actually excited about it. And, doing the podcast and stuff and getting recognized for the podcast, is kind of surreal. It really is. It's a real surreal feeling. I got stopped at, I was at Walmart this morning before we, had to run and pick up some milk, some other stuff for the day. And I wearing my, podcast hoodie. And one of the guys stops me and goes, "Drunken Cryptids." And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Are you Matthew?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey," I was like, "Okay." So it's surreal. So I visited him for a few minutes and, he asked about, a couple of questions about the show and stuff. And that was, but it's kind of surreal, and so I don't know if I could keep wearing it out there in public or not. I don't know. But, Arkansas is a small town, so everybody knows everybody here. And yeah, it's getting up there, which is nice. I'm just trying to, get a good show and get some encounters going. And like we were talking, begin the show, exchanging ideas and theories and helping each other grow. Because, you may get somebody's encounter that will fit in something that happened with me and vice versa, what that happened with you. And we were like, whoa, 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 and start mapping everything down and plotting it. I like to see shows grow. I have no problem giving shouts out other podcasts that are bigger than me, smaller than me, on my show. Period. I'm all about it.
And that's the way we should be. We should be, we're all looking for the same goal,
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
I had a couple more questions, but this is how
Fire away.
we roll. We always get off subject, but you were talking about where you heard on that other show about the rocks being thrown. The feeling of dread is also something that's mentioned a lot with Bigfoot and these different cryptid encounters too. And it's funny that I mean, not funny, but that's compelling to me that you did have that feeling of dread.
I have an answer for that one. All right, so I've been kicking around the idea, and so the world. Okay, so the world's a small world. All right. So for a while, I've been kicking around the idea of infrasound and Sasquatch using infrasound. Infrasound's used in nature by lots of animals. Tigers use it to paralyze their prey. Elephants use it to communicate. Whales use it to communicate. So why shouldn't Sasquatch use it? The dread feeling and stuff like that. It's a lot of terms now being people usually get zapped. Todd Neese had been kicking around the idea. He's gone deeper into it than me about the reason why we get blob squatch pictures is because the infrasound coming out to where it's shaking, to where it even be shaking our cameras, our phones, or whatever, our eyes even, to the point where it does kind of make them, in our eyes get vibrations or shaking us up. But with infrasound too, though, there was, I want to say India. There's a village in India, is it India or Africa? These two elephants were communicating to each other through infrasound. And there was a village in the middle, and the suicide rate in that village skyrocketed because, of human males. So infrasound, the government's been using it to help as a non-violent way to, break up crowds, use infrasound. So, I mean, we've been experimenting with this stuff already out there. I think that, what I was experiencing in those woods was almost a zap type feeling, but it is a push away, kind of a, I don't know, kind of, I know some of my words here, which is weird, but, that was the first time. And I believe I got zapped again, in our research area that we have. So, I had, Jacob, Tony, and Chris with me. We're investigating the area where Chris had a Class A encounter with some type of cryptid, and after listening to your encounter, he believes it may be similar to the same creature. By the way, which I told him I don't think so. Yours, I think, is something. Told I don't know what yours is, but with his, chasing down the idea of being an elusa. So we're investigating the area where he had this, did a reenactment of it, and we're going through the woods, and we in the property, and we're staring across the next property, and I see something. And when I go investigate, I mean, I go armed. I'm not dumb, because there's other things other than cryptids in the woods are going to get you. I mean, we got wild hogs. I mean, these are going to get you. And that always felt better in the woods if I'm armed. That's just how it is. So the thing is, 75 yards away, because we ended up using a rangefinder on the spot, and I couldn't clearly see it. So I raised the rifle up. Of all things, I had scope on it. Raised my rifle up, and there was a branch perfectly in the way, blocking the view. Right there, I switched iron, switched back, tried to raise back up with iron, tried to switch back in to get where it was at, and was gone. And after that, the team said I was acting weird. I was skittish. I don't remember any of this. I remember the rest of the investigation just fine, where we go to the other area and we found the structure the structure out there, all these X's in the trees, which is weird. But and that's when Chris was and Tony, they were both like, dude, you were really weird. We're on the way home. Tony drove, his Jeep, and he said all I did the rest of the way home was just stare out the window. And I got home, and I remember, you might have heard me and Alan talk about this. That week, I didn't sleep. I had crazy dreams, and me and Alan had the same dream.
Yeah.
That week. I don't know if you heard about that or not.
Yeah.
So possible zapping is something there, but digging more
It's
into
kind of like they talk about, and with ghost hunting and stuff like that, the EMF fields can cause you to have that, they can cause depression, make you hallucinate in some cases. So, it's kind of along the same lines with this infrasound, it just messes with you.
Well, the funny thing is, so Tony works with his job. They do a lot with audio, a lot of sound, a lot of electricity and stuff. And he has an app on his phone that he runs that picks up sound waves, right? All that good stuff. The irony part was, while we were there before the zapping happened, he got wild hair up his butt and broke it out. And, he knows more about the sound waves, and he goes, look, there's something here. And he took some screenshots of it, and I was like, whoa. Or I actually sent to Justin, Drunken the Corn, the screenshots of it, and he goes, yeah, you can see the infrasound. Yeah, there's something under there.
Really?
In this area.
Basically, you've got a recording of infrasound.
Yeah. But
you're not going to hear it. It's not actual
the app
recording.
won't let you the app won't let you record, so you have to do a screen record of it. You have to go to your phone and do a screen record, see it going up. So when I was on Search for Sasquatch, I had the app after this, obviously. And for the night, and I can't talk about it yet because the show hasn't aired yet. I don't want to give anything away, ruin Jason's show. But while the area we went into at night, as the sun was starting to set, I was like, well, let me break this on out. And I caught a couple of little things on there. And then the night got interesting. So I got to leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that, because I'm sure Jason wouldn't want you giving up everything.
No, I got to save it.
So getting back to the encounter, I do have one more question about, just to clarify. So when you said it walked or moved in front of the lights, it wasn't the headlights, it was those neons.
The neons on the hood. Yep. Neons on the hood. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's what it was. Neons on the hood. It was the driver's side one, was raised up on the hood, and it winked out like something walked in front of it. Couldn't tell you what it was. Just like something blocked it out.
Right. Okay.
It was that quick.
So before we went on, we were talking a little bit, and you brought it up about the X's in the woods.
Oh yeah.
I would like to hear your theory on this.
Okay, so everybody out there is talking about the X's. They're finding in their research areas. The crossover trees. The Sasquatch is allegedly making, because we have to say allegedly because nobody's an expert. I'm not an expert. We don't have to help. So one of my theories I'm running with, and it goes back to the area, our investigation area. So again, Arkansas being a small town. After I did the open house with Todd Neese and Jason Kinsey up there in Harrison, Arkansas, this one group that was following us on Facebook, and they came up to meet. We got talking, we got visiting. So, been doing a lot of work with them. Actually, the next open house I'm doing on February 8th is because they're putting it on. I'm going to be speaking there. So is Todd Neese. But they're investigating the properties beside ours. So we're here in the middle, they're here, and they're here, and they're having the same type of encounters all the way through. Okay.
Really? And you guys didn't know this ahead of time?
Didn't know any of this ahead of time. Nothing. To where the one guy on the group, I did a live interview with them, and we got talking. The one guy kind of opened up a little bit, and he said he encountered something weird. And then it fit the Bigfoot profile. I went, hang on. Chris encountered something weird that doesn't fit. I mean, the description, I got drawings of it. I'll take them to you. What Chris drew, what he saw. So he ended up. He goes, yeah, I saw the same thing. And that got me thinking, well, hold on a second. So now we got this, maybe this possible Nalusa in this whole area. There's a lot of history, Native American history up there, a lot in Bald Knob. It's called Bald Knob because it was a big rock up there, and they would say, well, let's go meet the Bald Knob, right? And so, but unfortunately, when the railroad came through, they destroyed the Bald Knob rock, right? Yeah. So anyway, but they were going through, I think, the structure that we found is big, but not big. It could be a nursery if that's what they're using it for. It could be a hunting blind as well if that's what they're using it for. Because it's perfect. 2 game trails run right parallel, right past it. I mean, both left and right of it, there's a game trail. I mean, it's right in the middle of 2 game trails. The structure is.
And Wes has talked about that on his show at that one property that he goes to where these structures act like blinds, because he said he could stand behind them and see the people's house,
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard that one yet. But so I was like, so when we're out there looking, I was going, maybe this is a hunting blind. Well, that whole area is covered with X's. So I don't think Sasquatch is making the X's in the trees for GPS markers. Come on. They live there. This is their area. They don't need to have a marker going, oh, yeah, this is the right way. No. Do you need a marker in your living room to navigate? No.
Well, sometimes, depending on how much I had to drink.
But you know what, though? You're going to stumble down and make it to the bed, aren't you?
Right.
You can turn off all the lights in your house, and you could you may stub a toe here and there. You may bump your shin on something, but there's something there. You're coming up on it. So you start filling out for it. They don't need these X's to navigate their way through. They live there. Okay, so they get rid of that theory. In my mind, I'm like, okay, so all right, no X's. All right, so they're not using it for that. What the hell could they be using it for? And then I went back and thinking the area that we're in, if there's an elusive there and Sasquatch is there, so now we got 2 cryptids side by side. I'm like, okay, look at other stories, other encounters. So let's say you've got a Sasquatch encounter and you got a Dogman encounter in the same area. How many X's are they spotting? What if these are warnings to the other cryptids? Say the F away out of my area. This is mine. You stay over there.
And I mean, people do that. Baton Rouge, it was because they saw a freaking red stick in the ground marking territory for Native Americans. We do this.
Yep. So my theory right now that I'm running with is the X's are there to mark territory boundaries or area for other cryptids not to go into.
Yeah, that very well could be. Yeah.
Yeah. So I come March, I'll be back in the woods again in our area. Like every kid-free weekend, I'm going to be living in there. Yeah.
Right.
I've already. Oh yeah. I'm going to need the bottom of this. So we're going to put ground sensors in, drones going up. Oh yeah.
I'm going to find out. High tech.
I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I got you.
Well, I hope
if I got that by something, I want to know what it is. But there's another theory running around, kicking it around. It's been discussed off air. So like the area 1, it's the 2 areas, area 1 and area 2. Area 1 is where the Nalusa was at, where I got zapped at. Area 2 is where the structure's at. Area 1 is dead. I mean, it's like a dead area. It's weird. It's the worst thing in the world. It's dead. We were there, and we found animal remains, bones. The bones are still there. Aren't going to be there very long. Bones are still there. We found a dead armadillo. We found a dead snake. We found, and the pick clean. The bones are still there. Nothing to eat in the bones yet. But it just felt dead. The other property around it, full of life. Squirrels, chipmunks, all that other shit going on. Nothing where the Nalusa could be at. And that's where we picked up on the infrasound running through. there as well. So if Tony goes, well, maybe there's a river or something. We're picking up the sound of the river. There's water underground. There's something running underneath us. And I'm like, going, no, I think we're picking up infrasound. I think there's something more to it out here. Another show told me to get a Geiger counter. And I can't say the name of the show, and I can't say who it was yet because they have a documentary that they were in that is going to be aired, I think, next year sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you off air. But I can't ruin it because he opened up to me about it. So that could be a portal area. And that's the reason why the area is the way it is. Where whenever they hunt that area, they don't get a lot of deer there. They go to the other area where the blind's at, they get a ton of deer.
Really?
Yep. It's just really, I mean, when you get there, you feel it. I mean, you really do. You feel it as you're walking into it. You can feel it just start to change. The whole area start to change. And then when you go to area 2, it's like you're in the woods. But area 1 almost feels like you're waiting for something to yell cut because you're in like some horror movie. It's got that horror movie vibe to it. So it's definitely surreal. But there's no X's over there, none. But there's X's over there by the structure in area 2.
That's odd.
And that would make sense to me, my now, of course, that could change because, as I tell everybody, my opinion of, Sasquatch changes probably every 2 hours.
Well, yeah.
Every 2 hours it changes.
You come across new information, new experiences, and it's like, well, that kind of throws that out the window. But I don't know.
Like on my interview with Wes, on the Sasquatch Chronicles, he always asks people at the end of the show what you think it is. And at the time when I did my interview with him, I was like, it's a flesh and blood creature. It is this, da 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 da. Now I'm like going, I have no idea. Could it be paranormal? Could it be this? I mean, Todd Neese has a theory right now, and I've been kicking it around too, though. The reason why they appear to cloak is because of their fur. They've got clear fur. Now, all their fur is clear, the way the polar bear is, but there's enough of it mixed in there to where they can blend in. They can kind of camouflage to a point where they appear to cloak,
So I have a theory on the blurry pictures and the cloaking. Have you ever watched a peacock when they unfurl their tails and they shake?
Yep.
And like even with high-speed cameras, they can barely capture this movement because it's shaking so fast. Well, I grew up on a horse farm, did a lot of horseback riding and camping, and horses, and I used to know the term for what this is called, but they can shake their skin to get flies off of them or whatever is bothering them. So let's just imagine for a moment, this creature has the ability to do that with its skin, and it's got this hair that, like you said, is clear, and it just shakes it. It's going to make pictures blurry, and it's going to give it that cloaking appearance.
Yep. Alligators do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of animals that can do this kind of stuff, and we act like, well, it's Bigfoot, so it has to fall into, it's got to be like a man or it's got to be like an ape. No, it doesn't. No.
The platypus. I mean, that doesn't fit any category either.
Right.
So, when the platypus was discovered, and they brought back a stuffed specimen to England, they thought it was a fake animal.
I mean, I probably would have too. Honestly.
Definitely.
You got a beaver with a duck bill that's poisonous. Come on.
And it lays eggs.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like breakfast on the go.
It is. It could be a breakfast on the go. Maybe that's what they're using it for over there. No, I mean, we discover new creatures all the time. We discover, new abilities all the time. I mean, there's so many things out there in nature that we can do. And we are so pre-programmed, though. We really are. Based upon history of what we read about in books. A lot of what we know about the animal world and about the world in general is somebody else's vision of it. You know, when the explorers went out all over the world and they were going to Africa, they were going to India, they were coming over here to the Native Americans, you know, everywhere, they would encounter, and their mindset would be these primitive people. The Native Americans are primitive animals. I mean, yeah, if you were to read the descriptions of what they were writing about 150 years ago describing people, it's embarrassing. I mean, yeah, it definitely does not play with the woke culture that's going on at all. And they would call them a whole bunch of names. What is funny is, so like, you know, a tribe, you encounter a tribe in Africa. This tribe in Africa has been there for generations upon generations upon generations. They know the land, they know the trees, they know the rivers, they know the weather, they know when this happens, they know the animals. So they go, hey, that's a giraffe. That's a giraffe. Hey, that's a hippo. That's a hippo. Hey, that's a dinosaur. No, you're wrong.
Right. Right.
You
But
don't know what you're talking about.
Funny.
You're not
It's funny
educated.
that you bring up that, you know, people thought of Native Americans or, you know, these tribes as basically idiots, you know, and dismissed everything that they said back 150 years ago. But I was having a conversation just the other day with somebody that I work with, and basically the first words out of his mouth when, you know, I brought up, you know, hey, you know, Native Americans have had encounters with these things for, you know, eons. And he's like, well, you know, that's just stories from uneducated people. So it still goes on.
We're programmed that way, though. You think about our history books, all of our science books, everything has is programmed that way. You know, we can't see, you know, they'll say we can't see the forest for the trees. You know, and a lot of people can't. You know, there are stories and encounters and descriptions. We're not talking about, you know, a simple little drawing. We're talking a description that goes into detail, lifestyle, how they live, how they operate, what they do, all the way through when it comes to fairies, trolls, gnomes, Sasquatch. I mean, they're featured on totem poles. I mean, why is Sasquatch featured on a totem pole that has a moose, has a bear, has a deer, has a raccoon, and there's a Bigfoot? Yeah, all those are real, but that one.
Right.
No, that's not real. Nope, that's not real. Nope, that's not real. You know, and it's the world is okay. I'm all about movies and weird stuff. Have you seen the movie Onward?
I have not.
Watch the movie Onward. It's an animated series. I believe it's on Netflix, and it's really it's like a D&D world. You know, Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Right.
So imagine like D&D where they have all the fairies and the magic and the dragons and everything, but then they discover technology. Okay. So they're driving cars, they're flying airplanes, you know what I mean? They're using electricity. I mean, they're watching TV, you know what I mean? So now all these mythological creatures are now, yeah. But there's, and now, so when you mention magic to them, they go, no, you're full of crap. That doesn't exist. It's not real. You see what I'm saying? It's a really neat, it's a kid's show. And I remember my kids wanted to watch it. I was like, okay, it's about two brothers. Their dad passes away, and the dad was a big believer in the old ways of magic and everything that everybody made fun of him for. And he ends up getting a magic staff, and they try and bring the dad back to life. It goes wrong. It's just his legs that come back. So they're taking the dad's legs, and they're going on a quest to find this amulet to finish the spell so they could see their dad again. Because it only comes back to life for one. So it's a really neat show. You know, I don't want to give it away, but who does the voice of the brother? One of the Chris's. Hang on. He was on The Office. He's wow. I'm gonna get in trouble for the Marvel movie where he's Star-Lord.
Oh,
yeah, Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt. Yeah, he does the voice of the older brother.
Gotcha. Okay, I might have to check it out. I don't watch a lot of animated.
Well, I'll take another one to watch, and it kind of got me. Is The Watchers?
Yeah, I did like that movie, and I know the show's
seen that?
supposed to be pretty good too.
They did the research that she did on this movie was amazing. I mean, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And again, too, though, it falls back onto, in history, we've got these descriptions and these lifestyles of all these mythological creatures that we don't believe in anymore
Right.
at all.
Right.
And, there's more to it than that. And again, it falls under the whole entire, nowadays everything's a demon if there is paranormal. And I disagree. Nowadays it's, you're making it up. You're doing this, you're doing that. And I'm not. I mean, I'm not making, what happened in 2002 down at Fort Hood, why would I make that up?
And that kills me about the non-believers in this. Yeah, are there people out there who misidentify things, or maybe they are making it up, but not everybody, and not the majority. It can't be the majority of these people making this stuff up, because there's nothing to gain from it.
Nope.
If anything, you're risking the ridicule of coming forward and telling your story, because people are so closed-minded and they've been programmed to, well, it's not, I didn't learn it in school, so it must not be true.
Now, I was talking to a girl this past summer, and about my, she found, talk about my show and everything I do for, my podcast, all that good stuff. And she was on the firm belief that I was going to manifest these things into reality. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. First off, if I can manifest Bigfoot and they come to my backyard and having a beer with me, by God, I'm going to manifest Bigfoot and they come to my backyard and having a beer with me.
Absolutely.
I have lots of questions for the guy, but I do believe in the manifestation point too, though. And I think that some of the new cryptids that we have that come out here, like the Rake, for example, is one. Slender Man is one. I think through the use of the internet, because the internet's not all bad. There's good things about the internet, but I think through the use of the internet, we've created these things. And whatever is demonic or evil out there is used whatever we're putting into it, almost like a Ouija board type of way to, manifest some of these, new cryptids into being. Yeah, there's Slender Man sightings. There's Rake sightings. I mean, you potentially could have had a Rake sighting.
Yeah, the more I've looked into it, I really, really don't think it was a Rake. It was just the first thing that came to mind when I first saw it. And we've already been going for an hour and 33 minutes, so we're not going to go into my encounter. Oh, no, it's fine. This is how all of our conversations go. So I was expecting this.
I enjoy doing it. I do. I mean, it's my favorite topic. What's funny is that, like when I have the fire going and people are down here, we'll talk about football, we'll talk about this, then it always comes right back into cryptids and paranormal and, theories out there and asking about this and asking about that. Everybody has an opinion, and I love hearing their opinions. I want to hear opinions. I want to hear what you think it is. I want to hear, if somebody has a crazy encounter, I want to hear what it was about. I want to know this stuff. Because the world, I think, the world is a magical place out. It really is. Magic has been around the world forever, and I think that we've just got to the point where we have forgotten it. Magic is used in the Bible. It's used in the Old Testament. It's used throughout history.
Yeah, that could be an entire another episode of us talking about that, because there's so much that's written in the Bible that
I love it.
Christians don't even believe. We're not going to go there, because, like I said, that could be a whole nother episode. but I do think that we've kind of hit the attention span of my audience. So why don't you go ahead and plug your show again and tell everybody where they can find you? And
not a problem. Oh, it's Drunken Cryptids. Just as it's spelled. .com is the website. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. The shows are on all your streaming platforms. There's a few platforms I'm fighting with right now. Tommy's trying to get it fixed, but definitely Spotify, YouTube, a whole bunch of other ones. I appreciate it. Likes and shares are greatly appreciated on that one. Any encounters you want to talk about, again, we won an award. I will be speaking at the the Bigfoot Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree #2 in Ada, Ohio in October. I'm going to Alaska, Portlock, Alaska in July to be filmed for another documentary. We'll be up there for 10 days. Got a town hall meeting February 8th at Paradise Pizza in Ozark, Arkansas that I'm going to be a part of. I've got, let's see here. I got more. I got a live show. I'm doing a live show with the Cryptids Corn crew on April 5th down here in North Little Rock. So they're coming to town. So Justin and Jay will be here. We're gonna be hanging out at the tavern the night before. So it's pretty excited about that. And yeah, follow me. That's where I'm at. Yeah, if you like the show, great. Not, well, great.
So
I don't do it for the haters.
right. We mentioned it at the beginning. If we can get you up to, is it 500 subscribers by the 15th?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. So okay. So yeah, it's 500 subscribers on YouTube by January 15th. The mullet time.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately,
I may,
this
I may push
episode's
it
going
out.
to air after that, though.
Well, oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, I'll push it out to. Let's see here. Okay, you got a calendar in front of you?
I do. I got my mullet calendar back here.
Sweet. What? Okay. What day of the week is 31st of January?
Friday.
Cool. We'll make it February 1st.
Saturday, February 1st.
Saturday, February 1st. Midnight of
Okay.
Saturday, February 1st. So yeah, 12:01 Sunday morning, the 2nd. Contest is over.
Yeah. Actually, I can work this in. I don't have anything scheduled quite. I don't think I have anything for the 23rd scheduled to release yet. So we might be able to get this worked in before then.
That'll work, but we'll try and get it done by then. Yeah, so that's what we'll do.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep pushing you on my show, and I know you've got some other interviews you're doing coming up. So we'll try to get your name out there.
Oh man, I forgot too. Hold on a second. So I'm also on Patrick and the People, which is another show every other Tuesday that airs in the morning. It's a live show, kind of like a radio talk show they have me on, but they'll bring a Cryptids in there. And then I haven't told you, I'm going to be an announcer for a wrestling event here in Little Rock.
Nice.
Yeah, on the 25th. Yep. So amateur wrestling, they're going to have me come in and be an announcer for that. So
that'd be fun. I like
I know.
announcing. I do high school sports, but yeah, I do
I don't know
enjoy
anything
it.
about wrestling. I'll just say, hey, look at the body slam. You know, I don't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they can fake the wrestling, you can fake the announcing.
I sure can. Damn it.
Well, Matthew, I really appreciate you coming on this morning, and I will. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and we'll talk a little bit offline.
Always. All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks again.